wrong. Someone's on the phone, 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah, talking about how she can make it right, yeah.
This is Larry Connor's USA. Larry Connor's USA.
Good afternoon, everyone. And this is thank you. This is indeed a special and good afternoon. This is a momentous day in the history of our country because we have passed historic, consequential, and transformative legislation. First, I want to express recognition and appreciation to the President of the United States, Joe Biden. President Biden's vision and his determination were so apparent to the American people, and the reason why this legislation enjoys the support of 75% of the American people in a strong bipartisan way across the country. We thank him for his leadership. So on this occasion, and I think I can safely say, and I've said this to my colleagues in the House on the Democratic side, this is the most consequential legislation that many of us will ever be a party to. Who knows what the future may bring? But nonetheless, on this day, we celebrate.
We celebrate. You're like, oh, true, this bill. Nancy, you're standing outside. Can you take the mask off? You're standing there outside, and everybody else is standing behind you, and all the reporters are a good 20 feet away from you. You can't take your mask off so we can hear you better. But she got her point across, and her part of her lie. 75% of the American people like this legislation, the COVID bill. 75. Where is that number? Who's got that number? And then to say it's bipartisan, it ain't bipartisan. It ain't. We'll break it down for you. But in the meantime, here they are. So excited. That was her yesterday. And they're talking about that President Biden was going to sign it Friday. I think somebody did not check his sleep schedule and his afternoon nap time. He said, I can't do it Friday. I'm scheduled for a nap, I think. So they're doing it. They did it already today. They say they did it because they want to get this money out quicker. Do you think everything really had to wait on his signature before the wheels started turning? Really? You really believe that? I know you don't. But he did sign it into law today, saying, and I'm quoting him now, this historic legislation is about rebuilding the... And he didn't have a mask on, by the way, because he forgets to carry them with him anyway. This historic legislation is about rebuilding the backbone of this country, giving the people of this nation, working people, middle-class folks, the people who built the country, a fighting chance, Biden said. That's the way it's written by one of these news sources. They give you the quote and they say, comma, Biden said. When I was teaching news journalism to students, I'd say, write it conversationally. Would you come up and say, Larry, this measure is going to do this and going to do that and do that, according to Biden? No, you'd come up and say, Biden says. Anyway, I'm down a rat hole again. Poor writing gets to me each and every time. But Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, while you hear these praise from the Democrats in Biden House, historic it is, Mitch McConnell said, Democrats just want to sprint to the front of that parade and claim credit, but the pandemic is not over and this is not helping. And in fact, he points out that's really not going to give the money that everybody says it is. He points out, in fact, in his opinion, it is a multi-trillion-dollar Trojan horse, a multi-million-dollar Trojan horse. You want to know where some of that money's going? Well, let me give you one for a moment, then we'll come back. I mean, I know they're waving checks in front of everybody and making it look like this is all for you. But I want you to know right now that out of that $2 trillion coronavirus relief package, the city of L.A. is getting $1.3 billion. For what? Well, because it's a blue city, Larry, you idiot. That's why they got it in there, and that's why they're getting it. And there'll be more examples of that. But let's go to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and his comments about this historic occasion, as he stated yesterday.
Nancy, and let me thank you for your beautiful exuberance as well. And the thanks goes to the senators who are standing here, our great committee chairs, and all of our senators who pulled together as one unit, beating back killer amendments, making sure the bill was as strong as possible, and I want to salute them. We Democrats made promises, particularly we did in the Senate. We said if we won those 2 seats in Georgia, we would get things done. Mitch McConnell blocked bills 4 times in a row. And Mr. Ossoff and Mr. Warnock told the citizens of Georgia if they were elected, they would make sure that the actual promises made would be promises kept, and they have been. So this is a wonderful day for America. This is one of the most consequential pieces of legislation we have passed in decades.
I will agree with that. I mean, these guys are excited. It's transformative, all right. But let's pick apart that statement. When he says it's good for America, and we fought back to preserve it. We fought back killer amendments like, why do you want to put in there $350 billion to bail out state and local budgets unrelated to pandemic needs? That's a killer amendment? That's just trying to bring some sanity to what you're trying to do. No, they didn't want to do that. Strings attached to stop states from cutting taxes on their own citizens down the road? No, don't do that. Massive federal school funding spread over several years without requiring a quick reopening? Nope, that's not in there either. That'd be a killer amendment. Sweeping new government benefits, no work requirements, whatever. Again, a killer amendment. We fought back all of those killer amendments. And we got it passed, by God. We got it. And according to Schumer, everybody was in on the play.
I want to salute the House as well. We were a seamless web, and we worked together. Democrats on the House side, Democrats on the Senate side, all together because we knew how important this was to America.
To America, to their politics, to their political career. To you, not so much. Yeah, the $1,400 checks, they weigh them around and they look good. I mean, most people could certainly use a $1,400 check. And I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And for those folks who've lost their jobs, they could use a JOB again to open up businesses. As Texas is doing, yet you get blues in the city, Austin capital saying we're not going to go along with the stop the mask mandate, as I mentioned a moment ago in news and commentary. What they're doing each and every time is picking and choosing who's going to get the benefit. And you will get some. But we pointed out previously, 9% of this bill, 9% actually goes for COVID relief. COVID relief, 9%. And Senator McConnell points out that if you look at just the $1,400 checks for Americans, that's only 20% of the bill. So right there's 80% that, why is it in there? Well, it's not helping Americans with the rest of the stuff, like giving money to arts, giving money to Planned Parenthood and abortion. Where does that help? And what's it got to do with the pandemic relief? Not a darn thing, Larry. I'll answer my own question. Thank you. Congressman Mike Waltz, Republican of Florida, because you keep hearing these Democrats go on and on. This is the greatest thing, man, ever. Yeah, he puts it in that context. He said this is, quote, the largest expansion of the welfare state since Lyndon Baines Johnson in the 1960s. There's my fellow Texan, LBJ, he's referring to. And yes, that's exactly what LBJ did at that time. Same thing the FDR did during the work progress, the CPA program that they had underway. And there were times we definitely need to step up and help things start. We started jobs and projects for people. We did start some safety nets for some people that were suffering. And while you might question it, you have to also look at there were a lot of people that needed help, and it helped. But this is just a bogus lie that we're helping. And when they say that $1,400 check is going to cut poverty in half, how in the heck do you come up with those numbers? You can't. They don't justify. There's nothing in there that would say, you give everybody and not everybody's going to get one, of course, but you get everybody a $1,400 check or more, then you will cut poverty in half. What, for maybe a week? Maybe a month? And don't forget, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Last night, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was on CNN, and she's arguing already some of this relief bill should be made permanent. Don Lemon, fruitcake aster, stated there are provisions like expanding the child tax credit, increased subsidies for health insurance. Those expire, though, after a year, Jen. How much of President Biden's sales pitch next week will be about convincing Americans that these social safety net measures should be permanent? And her answer, well, a big part. He wants to make the child tax credit permanent. He's talked about that. And certainly he'll look for opportunity to do that, work with members of Congress to get that done. You do understand, a lot of Republicans had no problem with child tax credits and also for charter schools, things of that nature. You do understand that. But right now they're saying, well, you know, we think we can get some support there for sure. Probably not we're going to go for what they have in mind because they don't have details. But what she went on to say, Biden wants to make health care more affordable and accessible. I am for that. I'm not going to fight against that. The question is, how are you going to do it? How are you going to pay for it? Well, it just dawned on me, my God, you got $2 trillion you spent on COVID relief. Maybe take that money and create a health care plan and help people across this nation have health care. How about that? I do believe that no one in this nation should go without health care. No one in this nation should go to bed hungry at night. I believe in those fundamental basic principles in my attitude, in my opinion. But what we got right now is you do it, but who's going to pay for it? How's it going to be paid for? Those are the little sticky points, aren't they? You like that car? Yeah, the salesman, I'll sell you that car. What do you want to pay for it? Well, I want a good deal. Well, what do you want to pay for it? Well, I'll pay, well, no, just tell me what you want to pay for it. I'll pay you $1. Oh, no, we're not selling it for $1. Well, you asked me what I wanted. That's what I want to pay. I'm not trying to offend my car sales supporters and listeners, because I got a lot of you who are. But you know how that game's played. You're going to offer what you're trying to give them at the same time, maybe offer some undercoating, things of that nature. Nothing wrong with that either. Sell up all the time. And that's what the Democrats are doing at this thing, selling up. But Schumer again, yesterday, he might as well have had a stack of these checks in his hand, waving them in the air. Just listen to him.
So what do we say to America? We say to America, help is on the way. Help is on the way. You will receive $1,400 checks by the end of March. Help is on the way. Vaccines will be available far more quickly to far more people in a shorter time. Help is on the way. Our schools will open safely and more quickly than we thought. Help is on the way. Half of America's children who are in poverty will not be in poverty because of this bill. Help is on the way.
Boy, it sounds fantastic, does it not? I mean, who could be against taking children and families out of poverty? Help is on the way. Well, if you look at, I quoted you a moment ago, if you want to really talk about helping American citizens, I mentioned a moment ago that L.A. City in this COVID relief package is getting $1.3 billion. $1.3 billion. How much help do you think that would really help kids in poverty, families in poverty, if you isolate and target just those folks? And you still provide incentive to get them to work and do things. I mean, we're not just going to be a handout state. We've already got generation after generation built on welfare. Coming up, if you want to challenge anyone, you're going to be a racist going forward.